This happened 15 years ago, but the memory is so vivid that I still flinch whenever my phone rings after dark. I was 15 at the time, an age where you think you are invincible, where consequences feel like distant concepts that only apply to other people. My best friend Anthony lived in a massive 2-story house at the end of a cul-de-sac that backed right up into a dense, sprawling forest. It was the kind of house every teenager envied: plenty of space, parents who didn't hover, and the latest gaming consoles. It was a Friday in late October. The air was already biting cold, and the wind had been howling against the siding of the house all afternoon. Anthony's parents were gone for the weekend, attending a wedding 3 towns over. They had left us with a freezer full of pizza rolls, a fridge stocked with soda, and strict instructions not to burn the house down. We had no intention of causing trouble. We just wanted to play Call of Duty until our eyes bled and eat until we felt sick. That was the plan. I rode my bike over around sunset. I remember the crunch of the dead leaves under my tires and the way the shadows stretched long and thin across his driveway. I stashed my bike behind the shed in his backyard, a habit I had picked up to prevent it from getting stolen, and let myself in through the back sliding glass door. The house was warm, smelling of stale popcorn and artificial cheese. For the first few hours, everything was normal. We screamed at the TV screen, chugged energy drinks, and debated which girls in our class were the cutest. But as the clock crept past midnight, the adrenaline from the video games started to wear off, replaced by a restless boredom. We tried watching a movie, some generic slasher flick on cable, but we couldn't focus. "Let's mess with people," Anthony suggested, a mischievous glint in his eyes. He paused the movie and reached for the landline, cordless phone sitting on the coffee table. Prank calling was a lost art, even back then, but we found it hilarious. Anthony went first. He dialed the local pizza place and asked for a burger, laughing hysterically before hanging up. It was childish, stupid fun. We took turns calling random numbers from the phone book his dad kept in the kitchen drawer. Most people didn't answer. The ones who did usually just grunted and hung up. "My turn," I said, grabbing the handset. I didn't look at the book this time. I just punched in a random sequence of numbers, imagining the person on the other end waking up, confused. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. I was about to hang up, assuming it was a dead line, when the ringing stopped. There was no hello, no sleepy. Who is this? Just silence, but not an empty silence. It was a heavy, breathing silence. I could hear the faint crackle of the line and the slow, rhythmic intake of breath on the other end. "Ahala," I stammered, trying to hold back a laugh. Anthony was snickering into a pillow next to me. "Is your refrigerator running?" I asked, delivering the oldest, lamest joke in the book. The voice that answered didn't sound like a person waking up. It sounded wide awake. It was deep, scratchy, and cold. "No," the man said, "but you should be." My smile faltered. Anthony noticed my expression change and stopped laughing. "What?" I asked, my grip on the phone tightening. I said, "You should be running." "Michael?" My blood turned to ice. "My name?" Used my name. I looked at Anthony, shaking my head violently. "Who is this?" I demanded, trying to sound tough, but failing miserably. "Is this you, Derek?" "Very funny. It's not Derek," the voice rasped. "Nice shirt, by the way. The blue one. It matches the curtains in that living room." I dropped the phone. It clattered onto the hardwood floor, the battery cover popping off. I scrambled backward, crab walking away from the window as if the glass were radioactive. "What did he say?" Anthony whispered, his face pale. "He knows my name," I choked out. "He knows what I'm wearing. He said ... He said it matches the curtains." Anthony's eyes shot to the large bay window at the front of the living room. The heavy blue drapes were open, exposing us to the pitch-black front yard. We were sitting in a pool of light from the lamps and the TV, completely visible to anyone standing outside in the dark. Anthony dove for the light switch, plunging the room into darkness. We sat there in the gloom, the only illumination coming from the blue static of the TV screen. My heart was hammering against my ribs so hard I thought it would crack a bone. "Maybe it's caller ID," Anthony suggested, his voice trembling. "Maybe it shows your name." "I'm using your house phone, Anthony," I hissed. "Caller ID would show your dad's name. And how would he know about my shirt?" We fell silent, listening. The house, which had felt so cozy an hour ago, now felt massive and full of hiding spots. The wind rattled the window panes, making us both jump. "We need to make sure the doors are locked," Anthony whispered. We literally crawled across the floor to the hallway. We checked the front door. Locked. Deadbolted. We checked the windows in the kitchen. Locked. Then I remembered the back door, I whispered, feeling sick. I came in through the back sliding door. "Did you lock it after me?" Anthony looked at me, eyes wide with terror. He didn't answer. He didn't have to. We sprinted to the kitchen, abandoning our stealth. The kitchen looked out into the backyard and the dense woods beyond. The sliding glass door was shut, but the latch was in the unlocked position. I reached out to flip the lock, my hand shaking violently. Just as my fingers brushed the plastic switch, the motion sensor light in the backyard flooded the area with harsh, white light. Standing there, right on the other side of the glass, not 2 feet from my face, was a man. He was tall, wearing a dark, oversized hoodie that obscured most of his face, but I could see his mouth. He was smiling, a wide, unnatural grin that showed too many teeth. He held a phone to his ear with one hand, and with the other, he slowly reached out and tapped on the glass. Tap. Tap. Tap, I screamed. I couldn't help it. I slammed the lock down and backed away, tripping over a kitchen chair and crashing to the floor. "Run!" Anthony yelled. We scrambled out of the kitchen and up the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. We didn't know where to go. The bathroom. No windows. The parents' room. It had a phone, but no lock on the door. We ran into Anthony's bedroom and slammed the door shut, locking the flimsy privacy lock. It was a joke of a lock. A strong kick would shatter it in a second. We shoved Anthony's dresser in front of the door, the heavy wood scraping loudly against the floorboards. Then we retreated to the far corner of the room, grabbing a baseball bat from his closet and a heavy metal flashlight. We sat there in the dark, listening. For a long time, there was nothing but the sound of the wind. I started to hope that maybe he had left. Maybe the locked door scared him off. Then we heard it. The sound of the sliding glass door downstairs sliding open on its tracks. Whoosh! Click! He was inside. Heavy, deliberate footsteps echoed on the hardwood floor of the kitchen. They weren't hurried. He was taking his time. He walked into the living room. We heard the crunch of the potato chips we had spilled earlier, being crushed under heavy boots. He paused at the bottom of the stairs. The house was silent enough that I could hear him humming, a low, discordant tune that had no melody. Step. The first stair creaked. Step. The second one groaned. He was coming up. "The window," Anthony whispered, pointing to the window above his bed. It led out onto the roof of the garage. It was a steep drop from there, but it was our only exit. We moved quietly, climbing onto the bed. Anthony unlatched the window and slid it up. The cold night air rushed in, chilling the sweat on my face. Behind us, the doorknob jiggled. We froze. The jiggling stopped. Then, a heavy thud against the door. He had thrown his weight against it. The dresser we had shoved in front of it shifted an inch. "Open up, Michael." The voice came from the other side of the wood. It was muffled, but unmistakable. "I just want to borrow your wheels." Another slam against the door. The wood around the lock splintered. "Go!" I hissed at Anthony. He scrambled out the window onto the shingles of the garage roof. I followed him, my sneakers slipping on the frost-covered surface. I glanced back, just as the bedroom door exploded inward. The dresser toppled over with a crash. The man stood in the doorway, silhouetted by the hallway light. He saw me. He roared an animalistic sound of pure rage and lunged across the room toward the window. I threw myself out onto the roof, sliding down the incline on my butt. I hit the gutter at the edge, the metal groaning under my weight, and swung my legs over, dropping to the grass below. I rolled as I hit the ground, the impact jarring my ankles, but the adrenaline masked the pain. Anthony was already up and running toward the woods. Not the woods. I yelled, but he didn't listen. He thought the trees would provide cover. The problem was, once we were in the woods, we were in the intruder's territory. I had no choice. I sprinted after him, plunging into the darkness of the tree line. Branches whipped my face, stinging my eyes. The ground was uneven, covered in wet leaves and hidden roots. We ran until our lungs burned, deep into the forest. We dove behind a massive fallen oak tree, huddled together in the dirt, trying to quiet our breathing. Did we lose him? Anthony wheezed. I shook my head, listening. At first, I heard nothing. Then, distinct and rhythmic, came the sound of crunching leaves. He was jogging. He wasn't running blindly. He was tracking us. He had a flashlight now, the beam cutting through the trees, sweeping back and forth like a searchlight. The beam passed over our log. We pressed our faces into the dirt. I know you're back here, boys. It cutted out. His voice echoed through the trees, sounding like it was coming from everywhere at once. Hide and seek used to be my favorite game. He was getting closer. I could see the beam of his flashlight illuminating the tree trunks just 10 yards away. We have to move, I whispered. If he finds us here, we're cornered. Where? Anthony cried silently. The creek, I said. If we cross the creek, we can circle back to the main road and flag down a car. On my signal, we bolted. There. The man shouted. The beam of light locked onto us immediately. We didn't look back. We tore through the brush, ignoring the thorns, tearing at our clothes. I could hear his footsteps behind us, heavy and fast. He was faster than us. He was gaining. I saw the creek ahead, a black ribbon of water cutting through the mud. I leaped, clearing the water and landing in the mud on the other bank. Anthony jumped after me, but his foot caught on a root. He slammed face first into the ground with a sickening thud. Anthony! I screamed, turning back. The man burst through the bushes on the other side of the creek. He didn't hesitate. He splashed through the water, raising something in his hand. It wasn't a knife. It was a hammer. Anthony was scrambling to get up, but he was dazed. The man was 3 steps away. I didn't think. I couldn't fight a grown man, but I had the heavy metal flashlight from the bedroom still gripped in my hand. Instead of running, I stepped forward and threw it. I put every ounce of fear and baseball practice I had into that throw. The heavy flashlight spun through the air and struck the man square in the forehead with a sickening crack. He stumbled, dropping the hammer into the water, and fell backward onto the creek bank, clutching his head. He groaned, a low, guttural sound of pain. Get up. I grabbed Anthony by the hoodie and hauled him to his feet. We didn't wait to see if he got back up. We ran. We ran until the trees thinned out and we saw the streetlights of the main road. We burst out of the woods, waving our arms frantically. A passing truck slammed on its brakes, the driver staring at 2 terrified, dirty, bleeding teenagers screaming for help. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They surrounded Anthony's house and swept the woods with canine units. They found the back door wide open. They found the shattered bedroom door. They found the hammer in the creek. But they never found the man. They traced the call, but it came from a burner phone purchased with cash. At a gas station 2 towns over, there were no fingerprints, only gloved smudges on the glass door. That night changed everything. Anthony's parents sold the house a month later. They couldn't stand the thought of living there. Anthony and I drifted apart after that. It wasn't that we weren't friends, but every time we looked at each other, we were back in that dark room, waiting for the door to break. I'm 30 years old now. I live in an apartment on the 4th floor with 3 deadbolts on the door. I don't own a landline, but sometimes, late at night, when the street is quiet and the wind howls against the window, I get a call from a unknown number. I never answer it. Because deep down, I know that if I pick up, I'll hear that same scratchy voice asking if my refrigerator is running. And I know that somewhere out there, in the dark, he's still waiting to finish the game.